Today I'm going to tell you how to turn these into this. I'm going to share with you my apple pie recipe that was shared with me by my grandmother, Joanne Childers. She was the baker of the family. She actually shared this recipe with me back in 2015 while her and I were baking pies together for a family holiday. Since then, I've really worked hard to perfect my skills with pie baking, and I'm pretty sure you can appreciate a freshly home-baked pie just as anybody else. I'm going to start with the crust, then we'll move on to the filling, assembling, and baking the pie. So let's grab those measuring spoons and mixing bowls and let's get started. So we're going to start with the crust, and you're going to need 2 cups flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 3/4 cups of Crisco shortening, and 3 to 4 tablespoons of really cold water. You're going to start by mixing the flour and the salt together, and then you're going to add the Crisco by cutting it in with a pastry blender, and that's a special tool which, according to the Williams-Sonoma website, who's a popular kitchen and home good retailer, the pastry blender is used to work in the Crisco or butter without overworking the dough. But if you don't have one of those, that's all right. You can use 2 butter knives just as well. Then you're going to add the water 1 tablespoon at a time until the dough is nice and firm and you're able to form a nice round ball. According to the Food Network star Paula Deen, she suggests that you chill the prepared dough for at least 1 hour before baking. So now let's rinse those apples and get those cutting boards out, and let's get started on the filling. So for the filling, you're going to need 5 to 6 apples, sliced, peeled, and cored. And according to another Food Network star, Pioneer Woman, she suggests that you use Granny Smith apples as they are firm and they hold up in the baking process. You're also going to need 1.5 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. You're also going to need 1 whole stick of butter cubed, as well as 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So once you have those apples prepared, you'll add them to a big Ziploc bag, and then you'll add all the other ingredients for the filling, and you'll seal and shake real nice until the apples are coated evenly with the sugar, spice mixture, and the cornstarch. So now that your crust is chilled and your filling's ready, let's get to assembling that pie. So you're going to start by taking out your chilled pie crust. You're going to add in the filling into the pie dish with the crust. Then you're going to grab that extra dough that we set aside earlier, and you're going to flour your work surface. You're going to roll that out until it is big enough to fit over your filling with your pie and everything. You want to make sure that there's some overhangs of the dough on the pie pan. And then once you have the size right, you're going to use a spatula to lift that dough off your work surface, place on top. You're then going to fold all that excess dough that's on the edge inward. Then you're going to take a fork and you're going to go along the edges and crimp and seal that and get it ready for baking. Lastly, you're going to cut a hole in the top of the pie to create a vent. Now your pie is assembled and we're ready for baking. So let's preheat that oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that the oven is heated, you're going to go and place your pie on a baking dish and place that into the oven on the middle rack. You're going to bake for 45 minutes until your until the crust is golden brown, and then you can take out, cool, and enjoy. So we better get started cleaning that kitchen. As the DIY queen Martha Stewart says in her perfect apple pie recipe, it is perfection is simply mastering the master of technique, or basic technique. And I hope that's what you got out of this step-by-step recipe on baking an apple pie, and that you're going to be able to appreciate your own freshly baked pie too. Thank you.